So doesn't it also mean now that Disney owns The Simpsons?
It does.
I kind of remember that The Simpsons predicted this just a couple years ago.
For 3 decades, The Simpsons has been making its audience laugh with its sharp takes on culture, politics, and the entire society of America. The wildest thing about it is its insane ability to predict the future. From Trump becoming president to AI dominance, fans can't help but wonder whether we're going to live and witness some of the guesses this year. Is 2025 another year for The Simpsons predictions to unfold? The year of fulfillments. People love The Simpsons for its humor, cultural relevance, and lasting impact on television. Its sharp, timeless humor blends slapstick with satire, making it widely appealing. The relatable Simpson family and diverse supporting characters add depth. The show's satirical take on American culture, politics, and society keeps it engaging. The Simpsons has influenced pop culture with iconic phrases and inspired other animated shows. Guest stars and legendary episodes add to its charm. Its nostalgia and ability to reinvent itself have kept it relevant since 1989, with creative storytelling like Treehouse of Horror making it a long-standing favorite. However, now the new year is just starting, people are digging through old episodes to see what might be coming next. So, what are some of the biggest Simpsons predictions for this year? And do any of them actually hold up? Fans and internet theorists claim The Simpsons has hinted at some pretty major events for 2025, from big tech advancements to political shakeups. Some of these ideas are a stretch, but others, they actually seem possible. AI taking over jobs. The show has joked about robots replacing human workers for years, whether it's factory employees or even creative professionals. And honestly, we're already seeing this happen. AI is getting smarter by the day, and companies like OpenAI and Tesla are making huge leaps in automation. Will 2025 be the year AI really changes the job market? If The Simpsons is right, we might be closer than we think. It's 2025, and the fear of AI taking over jobs isn't just a sci-fi fantasy anymore. It's happening all around us. From self-checkout machines at grocery stores to AI-powered customer service chatbots, automation is creeping into every industry. While some people see this as a technological revolution, others worry about what it means for workers. If you've noticed fewer cashiers at your local store or called customer support only to talk to a robot, you're already seeing AI's impact. Industries like retail, manufacturing, and transportation are being transformed. Self-driving trucks are threatening truck drivers' jobs, while AI-driven software is replacing accountants, data analysts, and even some writers. In many cases, companies prefer AI because it's faster, cheaper, and doesn't need breaks. That being said, not all jobs are at risk. AI struggles with creativity, emotional intelligence, and complex decision-making. Careers in healthcare, education, and skilled trades like plumbing and electrical work still require human expertise. Even jobs in creative fields, like filmmaking, graphic design, and writing, are adapting to AI rather than being completely replaced. The reality is, AI isn't going away. While it does replace some jobs, it also creates new ones. For example, AI engineers, data scientists, and automation specialists are in high demand. Instead of fighting the change, workers can focus on learning new skills and adapting to AI-driven industries. Many experts believe that the future workforce will be a mix of humans and AI working together rather than AI taking over completely. As AI continues to evolve, governments, businesses, and individuals need to prepare. Policies like Universal Basic Income, UBI, and job retraining programs may help workers transition to new careers. Schools and universities should also teach AI-related skills to help future generations stay competitive. The key is to embrace AI as a tool rather than fear it as a threat. AI is changing the job market at an incredible pace. While some jobs will disappear, others will emerge. The best thing we can do is stay informed, adaptable, and ready to learn. Instead of worrying about AI taking over, maybe we should ask, how can we work with AI to create a better future? Rise of digital money. In several episodes, the show has referenced futuristic digital currencies, and now that future is happening. With Bitcoin, Ethereum, and even central banks getting into digital currency, cash is starting to feel a little old school. Could the Simpsons have hinted at a full-on global switch to digital money in 2025? It sure looks like we're heading that way. Remember the days when people carried wallets stuffed with cash? Well, in 2025, those days are fading fast. Digital money has taken over, and more people are tapping their phones, using cryptocurrencies, and relying on online banking than ever before. Whether it's Bitcoin, central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, or just good old-fashioned credit card payments, the way we handle money has completely transformed. The biggest reason? Convenience. Who wants to carry a bulky wallet when you can just tap your phone or smartwatch? Digital payments are faster, safer, and more accessible. Plus, with e-commerce booming and more businesses going cashless, it's just easier to go digital. Even vending machines and street vendors now accept digital payments. Governments and banks are also pushing digital money forward. Many countries have launched their own digital currencies, CBDCs, to compete with cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum. These official digital currencies promise stability while keeping up with the fast-paced world of finance. While cash isn't completely gone yet, it's definitely being used less. Some countries, like Sweden and China, are already moving toward being fully cashless. In the US and other places, businesses are starting to refuse cash altogether. Even traditional banks are shifting their focus to online transactions, with fewer people needing physical bank branches. Cryptocurrencies, once considered risky or futuristic, are now a big part of the financial system. Companies like Tesla and major retailers are accepting Bitcoin, while new digital coins and blockchain-based financial systems are emerging every day. Crypto is no longer just for tech nerds, it's becoming mainstream. However, governments are keeping a close eye on crypto. Regulations are tightening as countries try to control digital assets, preventing fraud and illegal activities. But despite these challenges, crypto remains a huge part of the digital money revolution. Of course, going digital isn't all sunshine and rainbows. Cybersecurity risks, hacking, and digital fraud are bigger threats than ever. If your bank account or crypto wallet gets hacked, you could lose everything in seconds. Plus, there's the issue of financial exclusion. Some people, especially the elderly and those without access to technology, are struggling to keep up. Another concern is privacy. With digital transactions, every purchase is tracked, raising questions about how much control banks and governments have over our money. If cash disappears completely, will people lose financial freedom? As we move further into 2025, digital money will only grow. AI-powered financial systems, blockchain innovations, and new payment methods will continue shaping the way we spend and save. While cash might not disappear entirely just yet, it's clear that digital transactions are the future. So, is this a good thing or a bad thing? Well, it depends on how we adapt. If we embrace the benefits while staying aware of the risks, the rise of digital money could make life easier, safer, and more connected than ever. One thing's for sure, our wallets are getting lighter, and the future of money is digital. Climate crisis warnings. The Simpsons has never been shy about making fun of, or straight up warning us about, climate change. From extreme weather to rising sea levels, the show has portrayed a world where environmental disasters are the norm. With global warming getting worse, 2025 might be the year where some of these cartoonish disasters feel way too real. It's 2025, and the planet is sending us some pretty loud warnings. Wildfires are raging stronger than ever, hurricanes are more intense, and heat waves are making summers unbearable. Scientists have been warning us for decades, and now, the effects of climate change aren't just predictions, they're our reality. The question is, are we finally listening, or are we still ignoring the signs? From melting ice caps to rising sea levels, climate change is happening faster than expected. In the last few years, major cities have been hit with record-breaking floods, Droughts have destroyed crops, and entire ecosystems are collapsing. It's no longer just a problem for future generations, it's happening right now. Governments and environmental groups keep releasing reports, urging people to take action. But despite all the warnings, carbon emissions are still too high, forests are still being cut down, and plastic pollution is still clogging our oceans. It's like the planet is screaming for help, but we keep hitting the snooze button. Thankfully, not everyone is ignoring the crisis. Some countries are making real progress by investing in renewable energy, banning single-use plastics, and pushing for stricter environmental laws. Companies are also starting to step up, with more businesses going green and committing to sustainability. Electric cars, solar panels, and plant-based diets are becoming more popular as people try to reduce their carbon footprint. But let's be real, change isn't happening fast enough. Big industries, fossil fuel companies, and slow-moving governments are still holding things back. While some leaders are treating the climate crisis like an emergency, others are still debating whether it's even a real problem. Seriously? If we keep dragging our feet, the future looks pretty rough. More extreme weather, more food and water shortages, and more climate refugees will become our new normal. Scientists warn that if we don't cut emissions drastically, global temperatures will rise past the point of no return, making life on Earth a lot harder for future generations. But here's the thing, there's still hope. Every small change adds up, whether it's switching to renewable energy, reducing waste, or pushing for stronger climate policies. The technology to fix this crisis already exists, but we need the political will and global cooperation to make it happen. 2025 might be one of our last chances to turn things around. The climate crisis isn't just about saving polar bears, it's about protecting our homes, our food supply, and our way of life. If we keep ignoring the warnings, we'll have to deal with even worse consequences in the years ahead. But if we act now, we can still change the future. So, the big question this year is, will we finally listen? Or will we wait until it's too late? The choice is ours. VR. Becoming everyday life. Remember when The Simpsons showed characters escaping into virtual worlds? Well, with the rise of the metaverse, VR gaming, and AI-powered digital experiences, we're already halfway there. Could 2025 be the year when virtual reality becomes part of daily life? Given how fast tech is moving, don't be surprised if we all start living in The Sims instead of real life. Virtual reality, VR, used to be something straight out of a sci-fi movie, but in 2025, it's everywhere. Gaming, work, education, even socializing. What once seemed like a futuristic dream has now become a normal part of everyday life. The real question is, are we ready for a world where digital and reality blend together? A few years ago, VR was mostly for hardcore gamers and tech enthusiasts. But now, it's being used in ways we never imagined. Companies are holding virtual meetings in 3D offices, students are learning history by actually walking through ancient civilizations, and doctors are using VR to practice complex surgeries. Even fitness apps have jumped on board, turning workouts into interactive adventures. Shopping has also changed. Instead of scrolling through product photos, people can step into a virtual store, try on clothes, and see how furniture looks in their homes, without ever leaving the couch. It's safe to say that VR is making life a whole lot more immersive. Remember when social media was just about texting and video calls? Now, people are hanging out in virtual worlds, attending concerts, and even going on dates, all in VR. Platforms like Meta's Horizon, VR Chat, and other metaverse spaces have turned online interactions into full-blown experiences. Instead of just watching a live event, you can be there, standing next to friends from across the globe. Of course, this raises an interesting question. If we can do everything in VR, will people start spending too much time in virtual worlds? Some worry that as VR becomes more realistic, people might prefer digital life over the real one. Forget boring Zoom meetings. VR has changed the way we work and learn. companies are using VR offices where employees can interact just like they would in person. Instead of watching a PowerPoint presentation, workers can walk through 3D models, brainstorm ideas on virtual whiteboards, and feel more connected than ever. Education has also been transformed. Imagine learning about space by floating through the solar system, or studying biology by stepping inside the human body. VR is making learning more engaging and hands-on, helping students understand complex subjects in ways that textbooks never could. As exciting as it all sounds, VR isn't perfect. For one, high-quality VR headsets are still expensive, making it hard for everyone to access this technology. Then there's the issue of motion sickness. Some people just can't handle being in VR for too long. Another big concern? Privacy. If VR becomes a part of everyday life, companies will collect even more personal data, including movement patterns, eye tracking, and biometric information. That raises serious questions about how much of our digital lives we're willing to share. With new advancements in VR hardware, AI-powered avatars, and more realistic environments, the technology is only getting better. In the next few years, we might see VR headsets become lighter, cheaper, and even more immersive. Who knows? Maybe one day, we won't even need headsets at all. Just smart glasses or brain-computer interfaces to dive into virtual worlds instantly. One thing is certain. VR isn't just a passing trend. It's here to stay. Whether it's for work, play, or education, virtual reality is changing the way we live. The only question left now: how deep into the virtual world are we willing to go? A political earthquake in the US. One of The Simpsons' biggest claims to fame is predicting Trump's presidency way back in 2000. Now, some fans believe the show has hinted at another major political shift in 2025. Could it be a surprise election result? A big power change in the government? No one knows for sure. But after Trump's win, people are keeping a close eye on the show's old episodes. Over the years, The Simpsons has gained a weird reputation for predicting the future. From FaceTime to Donald Trump's presidency, their eerie ability to get things right has left fans wondering, what's next? Now, as 2025 unfolds, many believe that The Simpsons may have foreshadowed a massive political shakeup in the US. But is this just another wild fan theory? Or are we actually heading toward a major political earthquake? If you dig through The Simpsons archives, you'll find plenty of episodes that seem to mirror real-life events. One of the most famous predictions came in the episode Bart to the Future, 2000, where Lisa becomes president and casually mentions inheriting quite a budget crunch from former President Trump. At the time, it seemed like a joke. But 16 years later, Trump actually became president. Now, fans are pointing to other moments that hint at a future political crisis. One episode depicted a broken electoral system, another showed an angry mob storming the Capitol, and yet another hinted at a future where a mysterious outsider shakes up the entire US government. With 2024 being such a heated election year, could The Simpsons be onto something again? Even if you're skeptical about The Simpsons being modern-day prophets, it's hard to ignore that America is already experiencing political turmoil. The country is more divided than ever, elections are becoming more unpredictable, and trust in the government is at an all-time low. A political earthquake could mean anything: a shocking election outcome, the rise of an unexpected leader, or even a major shift in how the government operates. Some speculate that a third-party candidate could disrupt the two-party system, while others fear a deeper constitutional crisis. Whatever the case, something big seems to be brewing. So, are these predictions real or just lucky guesses? Let's talk theories. Somewhere along the way, the show gained an unexpected superpower: predicting the future. From smartwatches to Trump's presidency and even a global pandemic, The Simpsons has called it way too many times for some fans to believe it's all just luck. So, what's going on here? Is it just a series of bizarre coincidences, or is there something deeper at play? Let's dig into the theories behind The Simpsons' eerie ability to predict the future. First theory: coincidence and probability. One of the most common explanations is that The Simpsons has been on the air forever, since 1989 to be exact. With over 700 episodes, the writers have tackled almost every topic imaginable, from politics to technology and pop culture. Statistically speaking, if you throw out enough jokes and ideas, some of them are bound to come true. It's kind of like guessing the weather. If you predict rain every day for a year, eventually you'll be right. The show has simply been around long enough to accidentally predict events that seem shocking in hindsight. Another theory: writers are just really smart. The people behind The Simpsons are just insanely good at spotting trends before they become mainstream. The show's writers, many of whom are Ivy League educated and deeply in tune with politics, technology, and pop culture, aren't necessarily predicting the future. Instead, they're analyzing the world around them and making educated guesses about where things are headed. For example, when The Simpsons joked about Disney buying 20th Century Fox in 1998, it seemed ridiculous. But years later, it actually happened. Could it be that people in power subconsciously or consciously made decisions based on what they saw in the show? Sounds crazy, but stranger things have happened. Alright, this one's pure conspiracy theory, but it's too fun to ignore. Some hardcore fans believe that The Simpsons writers must be time travelers. How else could they have predicted so many real-life events with such accuracy? Of course, there's zero real evidence to support this idea. But let's be honest, if someone was traveling through time, hiding clues in a cartoon would be a pretty sneaky way to drop hints about the future. Just saying. At the end of the day, The Simpsons probably isn't a crystal ball for the future. Most of its predictions are a mix of sharp observation, good satire, and plain old luck. But it's still fun, and kind of creepy, to look back and see how many times they got it right. Will The Simpsons continue predicting the future? Probably. And when it does, you can bet the internet will go wild all over again. Until then, maybe it's time to start paying closer attention to what's happening in Springfield. Who knows what they'll get right next? An equally interesting angle are the predictions these shows brought but did not come true. Like they say, you can't guess it all. Failed Simpsons predictions. Over the years, The Simpsons has gained a reputation for predicting the future, making headlines for their eerie accuracy. But while the show has definitely had some lucky or uncanny guesses, not all of its so-called predictions have come true. In fact, many of its wilder storylines remain firmly in the realm of fiction. One example is the infamous World War III scenario from the episode Bart to the Future, 2000. In this alternate future, Lisa Simpson becomes president and has to deal with the fallout from Donald Trump's time in office. While Trump did actually become president in 2016, the show's suggestion that his presidency would lead directly to World War III never happened. Sure, there were plenty of global tensions, but nothing escalated to the level The Simpsons imagined. Similarly, the show has depicted dystopian futures with robot uprisings and oppressive governments, none of which, thankfully, have come true. Another fun but fake prediction involved giant mutant tomatoes. In the 1999 episode E-I-E-I-D-O, Homer uses nuclear radiation to grow supersized crops, creating tomatoes so large and aggressive that they burst open. While genetically modified foods are definitely a reality today, we're not exactly dealing with nuclear-enhanced monster plants. This is just another example of the show exaggerating real-life trends for laughs, rather than predicting them. Then there's the idea of Big Ben being replaced with a digital clock. In one episode, The Simpsons humorously suggested that the iconic London landmark would get a high-tech upgrade. While digital clocks are everywhere nowadays, Big Ben is still ticking away just like it always has. This was less of a real prediction and more of a joke about modernization going too far. Another so-called prediction that didn't quite hit the mark comes from the War of Art, 2013, in which Michelangelo's David is censored because people found it inappropriate. Years later, a Florida school stirred controversy by showing the statue to students, and some saw this as The Simpsons predicting the future. However, the real-life event wasn't as extreme as the show's version. No one actually banned the statue, making this more of a coincidence than a prophecy. At the end of the day, The Simpsons is a comedy, not a crystal ball. While it has occasionally foreshadowed real events, most of its wild predictions remain just that: wild, exaggerated, and meant for entertainment. The show is great at capturing cultural anxieties and playing with what-if scenarios. But when it comes to actually predicting the future, it's not as magical as some might think. Satirical cartoon shows. Cartoons aren't just about laughs. They can also be surprisingly good at predicting the future. The Simpsons is the king of this, having eerily foreshadowed major events over the last 30 years. But it's not the only animated show that seems to have a crystal ball. Shows like Futurama, South Park, and Family Guy have also had moments where their jokes and storylines turned into real-world events. So, what makes these shows so good at predicting the future? A mix of satire, exaggeration, and a good understanding of history and pop culture. One big reason these cartoons feel so ahead of their time is their use of satire. The Simpsons has been making fun of politicians, tech trends, and pop culture for decades. Sometimes, their over-the-top jokes about the world end up being eerily accurate. The same goes for South Park, which isn't afraid to dive into controversial topics and take them to extremes. Since satire is all about pushing reality just a little further, sometimes it lands closer to the truth than anyone expected. Another reason these shows nail their predictions is that they go for the absurd. A lot of the time, they throw out wild ideas just for laughs, but reality has a funny way of catching up. Family Guy, for example, made a joke about Caitlyn Jenner's transition years before she came out publicly. And The Simpsons showed Donald Trump as president way before he even ran for office. The more ridiculous the joke, the more shocking it is when it actually happens. These shows also have a habit of looking at history and using it to make guesses about the future. Futurama, which was created by The Simpsons' Matt Groening, imagined a lot of futuristic tech that has since come true, like video calls, self-driving cars, and even AI assistants. South Park has also used past political and social trends to create storylines that, looking back, seem weirdly spot on. History tends to repeat itself, and these shows have a knack for spotting patterns. If there's one thing these cartoons are good at, it's keeping up with the latest trends. They take what's happening in the world and crank it up a notch. Because they're so plugged into current events, they sometimes get ahead of the curve without even realizing it. This is how they manage to make jokes that, years later, end up looking like predictions. Whether it's because of satire, absurdity, history, or just paying close attention to the world, these shows remind us that sometimes fiction isn't that far from reality. And who knows? Maybe the next big world event is already hidden in a joke on a cartoon episode we've already seen. We'll see if one or two come true this year. The predictions keep coming with the series already running for more than 30 seasons. Many people wonder, will The Simpsons continue to air? And will it keep making predictions about the future? First things first, The Simpsons isn't showing any signs of stopping. With a dedicated fanbase, steady ratings, and the support of major networks, now under Disney's control, it seems like the show will keep going for the foreseeable future. It's already the longest-running American sitcom, and at this point, it feels like it'll last forever. As long as people keep tuning in and the show keeps making money, there's little reason for it to end anytime soon. One of the biggest reasons The Simpsons is still relevant is because of its predictions. Every time something crazy happens in real life, fans rush to check if the show somehow called it years earlier. And more often than not, they find something eerily similar. But are these actual predictions, or just lucky guesses? The truth is, The Simpsons writers are just really good at observing trends and exaggerating them for comedy. They take real-life events, push them to absurd levels, and, because history tends to repeat itself, sometimes they get things right. It's not magic, just smart writing. And as long as the world keeps changing, The Simpsons will have more material to work with. Of course, nothing lasts forever. Even though The Simpsons is still going strong, it's impossible to say how many more years it has left. Some fans feel like the golden years of the show are long behind us, and others think it should have ended a while ago. But as long as it keeps getting renewed, the writers will keep coming up with new episodes and new predictions. At the end of the day, The Simpsons probably isn't a crystal ball, but it is incredibly good at poking fun at reality in a way that sometimes ends up being spot on. Whether any of these 2025 predictions actually happen remains to be seen. But one thing's for sure, fans will be watching closely, ready to call it another Simpsons prophecy if they do. What do you think? Are the show's predictions just a mix of satire and lucky guesses, or is there something weird going on? Either way, we'll be keeping an eye on Springfield as 2025 unfolds. See you in the next video.